Startling. Alex Eala is commended by King Charles III, who also declares a special prize. And the tennis world stopped breathing when Buckingham Palace issued the official statement. A 21-year-old Manila native who grew up on Spanish clay courts recently won the kind of accolades typically given to Grand Slam winners and Olympic superstars. What did Alex Eala do to get a king's notice, and what unique gift has followers on 2 continents yelling with delight? Centre Court, Birmingham, England, June 7, 2026. The cheers had hardly subsided. With her chest still heaving from 2 hours of fighting on grass, Alex Eala stood at the net, eager to shake the hand of the top seed. She had just won her first grass court title, her first WTA prize since 2025, and the most defiant moment of her short career with the final point, a cross-court victory that kissed the sideline. However, the world would not remember this time. Eala was recommended to withdraw from the Birmingham Open by the Women's Tennis Association 7 days prior.
Why?
Issues related to fitness. The 21-year-old Filipina had just finished a grueling clay court season that left her with heavy legs and restless nights, as seen by her 4-9 record. While Alex Eala saw something else, the WTA saw a player in danger. A test. She declined. She posted 4 phrases that rocked the tennis internet and signed a release absolving the governing body of liability. "I'm not hurt. I'm done acting like I'm not exhausted. However, I'm also tired of letting other people dictate what I can and cannot do." Within hours, thousands of comments came with the Philippine flag emoji, and one word reverberated across all platforms. Laban. Engage in combat. Eala demonstrated the meaning of the word on Centre Court against the top seed in the event. She did not break even though she was down 4-1 in the second set, her leg was screaming, and her first serve percent was declining. She stooped, then sprung back. She saved a match point, broke her opponent twice, and won the championship with a backhand down the line that left the audience in stunned quiet before an outburst of unadulterated happiness. She raised the trophy during the trophy ceremony later that evening and spoke into a microphone that millions of people could hear. "I was told I couldn't play by the WTA. Perhaps they were correct. I may be worn out, but I'm also a fighter. This pertains to the Philippines." Laban. Always. 2 continents worth of fans shed tears. Congratulations were posted by the President of the Philippines. Tears were running down her cheeks as her mother, former national swimming champion Risa Maniego Eala, watched from the stands. However, what transpired next, something that nobody in that stadium could have predicted, would transform a resilient triumph into something much greater, something that would extend beyond tennis and athletics to Buckingham Palace. London's Buckingham Palace, June 10, 2026, 9:15 a.m. 3 days after winning the Birmingham Open trophy, Alex Eala found herself in a predicament she could never have imagined. It was a calm Wednesday morning when the phone came. Back in Manila, Eala was still recovering from the emotional roller coaster of the previous week. A glittering reminder of what defiance may accomplish, the trophy rested on a shelf in her childhood bedroom. However, a notification that would stop her heart cold was now buzzing on her phone. 3 letters concluded the email address. The UK. Unmistakable, royal, and official. She initially believed it to be spam. Scam emails, phony sponsors, phony invitations, and phony promises are sent to every athlete. However, Alex realized this was different when her agent called a few seconds later, her voice trembling. "Alex, they're serious. Buckingham Palace would like to talk to you." The message was formal yet succinct. Her performance at the Birmingham Open was noted by His Majesty King Charles III, not only for her tennis skills but also for her bravery, her refusal to give up, and the message she conveyed to young athletes worldwide. In addition to discussing a topic of shared interest, the king would like to extend his personal congratulations. An issue of shared interest? What might that signify? Eala's phone rang non-stop for 2 days. The email, or at least the energy shift, had somehow made its way to the Philippine media. On June 22, Philippine Independence Day, of all days, reporters gathered outside her family's house to speculate on social media about whether the king had invited her to tea, whether it was related to the Commonwealth Games, or something else entirely. When the second email arrived, it stated that His Majesty King Charles III had requested your presence at Buckingham Palace on June 25, 2026, for a special audience, rather than asking for a meeting. Before the words really registered, Eala had to read them 7 times. She then called her mother, and the 2 of them sobbed together. A 21-year-old tennis player from Quezon City, a country with few tennis courts and limited resources that has never produced a Grand Slam singles champion, was being invited as a guest of the monarch to the world's most famous palace, not as a tourist. At noon, the news was broadcast on Philippine television. The headline was displayed at the bottom of the screen by ABC-CBN. Within hours of Alex Eala's invitation to Buckingham Palace, King Charles III took note, the story went viral, and the tennis community was perplexed. Why Alex Eala? Why now? Buckingham Palace doesn't just call anyone. The King's public appearances are scheduled months in advance, and private audiences are only given to heads of state, Nobel laureates, and occasionally sports legends at the height of their abilities. Some conjectured that it was a Commonwealth gesture, a means for the King to honor young talent from the member countries. Others muttered about a potential honorary award for her achievements to sports, or perhaps even a knighthood in the works. Eala, however, said nothing. One statement was issued by her team: His Majesty's invitation is a great honor, and Alex eagerly anticipates the meeting. That was all. There were no specifics or clues, only the assurance that something significant was on the horizon. And the rumors got louder, crazier, and more desperate as June 25 drew near. With a tennis player who had recently won a WTA 125 tournament, what did the monarch want? Yes, impressive, but not Wimbledon. When the solution did come, it would astound 2 continents. London's Buckingham Palace, June 25, 2026, 2 p.m. At last, the day had come. With her heart thumping so loudly she was sure the guards could hear it, Alex Eala exited a black chauffeured car and entered the gravel driveway of Buckingham Palace. She donned a classic Filipiniana dress with butterfly sleeves and elaborate embroidery, each stitch paying homage to the country she represented. The flashbulbs burst like firecrackers at a Manila carnival as the photographer yelled her name. And King Charles III was ready to greet her somewhere deep within the palace. Although cameras were not permitted inside the 40-minute event, Eala's staff would later characterize it as warm, intimate, and utterly surprising in its generosity. The announcement came next. 2 continents were rocked by a formal announcement issued by Buckingham Palace at 3:30 p.m. In addition to praising Alex Eala as an inspiration to young sportsmen throughout the Commonwealth and beyond, His Majesty King Charles III also disclosed something remarkable, a unique award. The Queen Elizabeth II Commonwealth Young Athlete Award, a new honor created especially to celebrate athletes who exhibit extraordinary bravery, tenacity, and the spirit of fair play, was announced by the King. And the first person to receive it would be Alex Eala. That wasn't all, though. A medal created by the Royal Mint, an invitation to a state banquet at Buckingham Palace later this year, and, most importantly, a grant of £100,000 to promote grassroots tennis initiatives in the Philippines were all part of the award. The funds would be used directly to construct new tennis courts, support coaching programs, and provide opportunities for the upcoming generation of Filipino sportsmen. His Majesty's activity at Alexandra Island has long been based on Her Majesty's dedication to youth development and Commonwealth unity. The tennis world stopped breathing when His Majesty saw a young woman who exemplified those ideals not only through her sporting accomplishments but also by her bravery in defending her convictions and her commitment to motivating others. Eala's phone exploded in a matter of minutes as messages came in from all around the world. Coco Gauff wrote, "This is insane, so deserved," beside a screenshot of the palace statement. Former athlete mental health advocate Naomi Osaka noted succinctly, "She changed the game, on and off the court." However, the Philippines' response was the most significant. Crowds gathered outside Eala's family house in Quezon City, shouting, "Laban, Laban, Laban," and waving flags. Eala is a national treasure whose light shines brighter than any palace chandelier. According to a statement released by President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., the hashtag #EalaMeets hashtag for 6 hours in a row, theking was a global trend. Her mother Risa, back in Manila, sobbed as she watched the footage. "I never imagined this," she said to a local reporter. Eala used to cry when watching Princess Diana's funeral on television when she was 5 years old. She is now meeting her son. Though not everyone was celebrating behind the scenes, life is truly remarkable. Hours after the sun had set over Metro Manila, the streets outside Alex Eala's family home still glowed with an amber haze, the last vestiges of a day that would never be forgotten. The WTA remained conspicuously silent, neither tweeting congratulations nor issuing a statement acknowledging the honor. This was the same icy professional silence that had followed Eala's defiant victory in Birmingham, and for millions of fans watching, that silence spoke louder than any palace announcement ever could. The Buckingham Palace medal lay on her nightstand in its velvet box as she sat by herself in her childhood bedroom. Beside it was a folder with the grant documentation, which included a signed promise to construct 6 new tennis courts throughout Visayas and Luzon. And like a soft touch on her shoulder, the weight of all that had just transpired pressed down somewhere in the air. 21 years old, a champion of the grass court, a visitor to the palace, and now the leader of a novel movement. Eala got off a plane at Ninoy Aquino International Airport earlier that evening, before the Philippine media frenzy had completely faded. There was no formal fanfare, but word had somehow gotten out. Nearly 2,000 people had gathered outside the arrival's entrance, screaming Laban's name until their voices were raspy, waving Philippine flags, and carrying banners that read her name. She had sobbed as she made her way through the throng, holding her mother's hand and pausing to give hugs to kids who regarded her as a cross between a superhero and a big sister. A young girl, no more than 8 years old, had given her a crayon drawing of a tennis court with a crown surrounding it and the word "Salamat" inscribed at the bottom. "I'm grateful." Eala had bent down, met the child's eyes, and uttered a statement that would be repeated for days on Philippine television. Hindi mahalaga kang san kanag sa simula hayag kang titijal mangadap. Mahalaga kang san ka kupantha. Continue to dream. Where you start is irrelevant. What matters is where you end up. Both Eala and the young girl had started crying. Later that evening, Alex was by herself in her room, scrolling through her phone to read the stories of the people who had written to her during the previous week instead of checking her notifications, which had turned into a deluge of congrats and demands for interviews. A young Iloilo City tennis player who had been told she wasn't skilled enough to